All right, everyone. A warm welcome to everyone and a very good afternoon. I am Manasi. I'm an architect by background. I represent Nemetschek for customer success for architectural segment products, namely ArchiCAD, Solibri, and Vectorworks. So we'll be talking more about Solibri today, how Solibri is helping our clients with automated BIM checks with respect to the model quality issues of BIM processes, the area considerations, green checks, and many more. So, webinar takeaways for today. So, there are four takeaways in line for all of you waiting in next 1 hour. Concept model review and extracting information out of 3D models without investing in heavy BIM authoring tools is not new to all of you. I'm sure all of you must have used some or the other tool to extract information to review models over mobile, tab, cloud, and many more applications. So I'm here to share some smart ways to do so with Solibri that will help all different project stakeholders to collaborate effectively. BIM checks are happening at multiple levels. Let's deep dive into Solibri offerings today. So when we say various levels of BIM checks, it is not limited to geometry, naming conventions, but it is even going to a level of constructability checks for a given project model. All IFC schemas have made their way to BIM roles, and let's talk more about few enhanced formats beyond IFC management today. I'm sure most of you must have heard about Open BIM concept, but we'll talk more of a globally acclaimed format that is BCF. And stay tuned for some insights that I will be sharing about competitive features of Solibri against Naviswork Manage as well as Autodesk Construction Cloud. Because there is a slight overlap with Solibri there, but I'm sure once you see through all the features here today, you will have a different perspective about Solibri Office. So agenda for today, we are through with quick introductions. We have discussed the quick webinar takeaways also. Let me tell you a bit about myself. Like I said, I'm an architect. I am into this industry for 16 years now, and I'm a seasoned BIM professional working on two different implementations, POCs for multiple products ranging from 3D to 5D to even client experiences with the upcoming AI things for BIM tools. And in the interest of time, please keep your queries, comments noted onto the chat section, and we'll be happy to address them at the end of this session. So let's deep dive more. And before deep diving, let's understand the workflow, what Solibri exactly is, whom it is for. So talking of interoperability partners of Solibri, or Solibri can integrate or talk to how many tools today. So the only input Solibri takes is IFC file format, and the issue management output or input or coordination file format Solibri understands is BCF, which is a global file format. So all the AECO stakeholders from architectural designers, structural, MEP, contracting teams, and the owner teams or PMC teams, they are using one or the other popular BIM tools like ArchiCAD, Vectorworks, Allplan, or Revit. All of these files are definitely having IFC translators today, and good quality IFC schemas are being extracted, and those are pushed to Solibri. So that is the first step of how all these different models can still come into Solibri. And the different logos that you see on the lower side are of Econex, BIM Collab, Allplan, BIM Plus by Allplan, Build 365, Build Agile, Catenda, Dolux, Connect, New Pharma Connect, and so on, Streambim or even Trimble Connect. These are issue management platforms. So all these issue management platforms integrate well with IFC and BCF as well. So the whole workflow from any BIM authoring tool today, no matter which consultant is using which platform for a 3D model, it gets converted into a IFC, and a federated model can still come into Solibri. So what I'm saying is, if an architect is giving an ArchiCAD model, if structural guy is giving a Revit model, MEP guy is giving a another model from some other BIM authoring tool. And all these three IFC files come into Solibri, and still a federated building model can be reviewed easily, can be checked easily in Solibri through a global file format, that is IFC. And the lower segment of the workflow is issue management platforms. I'm sure most of you must have invested into one of these issue management platforms already, and hence it is critical and evident that Solibri integrates with the BIM authoring tools as well as the issue management platforms. Any of these you are using already, Solibri is an add-on. It will not disrupt any of your IT landscape or the BIM process ongoing. It will just fit in as an add-on and a value add-on. Solibri not only integrates with the BIM tools or issue management platforms, but it very well integrates with the common data environments or the sustainability partners like One-Click LCA, be it the data management tool, Microsoft OneDrive or SharePoint. If you are having all your project files onto Trimble Connect, Solibri can very well fetch those files and also manage the issues there. Is it BIM 360 or ACC? Solibri can still fetch the files as well as keep a record of all the issues and reports of a design checker as a design checker onto ACC. So Nemcheck Solibri partners for integrations for CDs and sustainability requirement are tech giants like Autodesk, Microsoft, and One-Click LCA. So now I will deep dive into one interoperability partners to start with, and then we will deep dive more into the Solibri features. So talking of the most popular integration of Solibri with Revit as well as with ArchiCAD. So let's begin and see how this works. Model-based BIM collaboration workflows between architects and other stakeholders rely on quick and easy model exchange and accurate model checking tools. So seamless collaboration between Revit is crucial for many stakeholders. The RFA and RVT geometry exchange add-on is now built into ArchiCAD. Let's see how this versatile tool works. Now let's export Revit models from ArchiCAD, or let's have a hot link RVT models into ArchiCAD with precise geometry and properties. So once this is done, we'll try and import some MEP equipments into ArchiCAD. In addition to the door, windows, or RFA objects are also coming into ArchiCAD as GDL objects in the ArchiCAD model. So let's see an example of placing an outdoor roof mounted AC unit. So let me activate import RFA as GDL object command. Let me locate the file and open it. So once we confirm the recommended MEP equipment as the desired library part type, we optimize the geometry and the slider, optimize the geometry with the slider, and then we are clicking import. After the object is imported, we locate it into the embedded library of ArchiCAD. Certain parameters, if you see, are very similar options to the native MEP objects. For example, various MEP systems for connection. So after placing the object, we just link it to the pipe. After placing the object, we'll go to the Solibri connection. So the enhanced ArchiCAD Solibri add-on saves time with an instant quality check of your model. This add-on is available to download from graphisoft.com. After that, we open its palette and Windows menu, click on Start Solibri. When the connection is running, export the model to Solibri, and within just one click, ArchiCAD is pushing that model to Solibri. So this is how with the integration is so seamless. So even if you export certain views, you can still send all that information. Like views for structural analytical model can be exported to Solibri. Analytical members of this view will be transferred to Solibri with their physical counterparts. So transfer the selection basket content and even the viewpoints from Solibri to easily select same elements from ArchiCAD and start working on it. By selecting Get Selection Basket plus Viewpoint command in ArchiCAD, and then enjoy the benefits of smooth, seamless collaboration amongst all project stakeholders, thanks to the interoperability between all these tools. Now let's check out how Solibri can seamlessly integrate with the construction cloud. So we'll see first how the connection is established. So first we need to establish the connection inside ACC. We go to the ACC apps. This requires administrator rights in ACC. Make sure to activate the connection for each server to access all ongoing projects. After connection, anybody is part of the project and has authorization can access BIM 360 from integration tab of Solibri application. So once the authentication is successful, you can open models that are stored in directly in ACC as well as from the Solibri application. So the authentication is how it is working. Once this authentication is successful, this is the Solibri interface, and we are opening a model on ACC from Solibri application. We can then check the models for different requirements like area ratios, information takeoff, model reviews. Reports can be extracted via communication tab of Solibri application. So this is how the checking of all the models and issues happen inside Solibri. And once we have tracked and mapped all issues, we can save this project back to Autodesk Construction Cloud through the same BIM 360 tab. Now, anyone else having access can check the issues, review, or collaborate with Solibri project files on ACC. Further, when there is a new version of the model, ACC will notify you and model comparison of different versions can happen in Solibri. This way, the users are allowed to work with the latest model on ACC version, and the version numbers are also very much visible onto Solibri. So we are just updating the model from the update tab and done. And if we want to have any restriction on accessing Solibri files, simply the lock feature, which is there on the ACC, can be used to authorize or authenticate the access of those models. So the models are being updated along with the versions, as well as the checks will be saved along with the .smc file of Solibri onto ACC. So now if we right click, there is a lock option here, which can allow the access restriction for you. So the whole workflow that we just saw quickly was, if there are models prepared in ArchiCAD, there is also a design checker within ArchiCAD. Then the checks or automated checks are happening for design checking, for area considerations, for downloading the results within Solibri. And the whole issue management also is taken care by Solibri and ArchiCAD. So we'll just see how Solibri is providing out of the box solutions for ArchiCAD, which is again a Nemcheck BIM tool only. So interoperability is completely sorted for Solibri kind of a tool. So apart from BIM validation, compliance control, coordination review, analysis and code checking, Solibri can seamlessly have the building models checked and transferred on one click from ArchiCAD to Solibri. So ArchiCAD to Solibri connection is through one click, like you see here. Both the tools are running parallelly. The model is being exported in Solibri. It is running checks, and I can push back with the severity options, or severity of those issues can be logged onto the system. So thanks to the live integration, that once the issues are captured, the same information goes back to ArchiCAD for fixing the problem real time. So this integration helps the designer not only to see the, so if something is selected in ArchiCAD, we can real time see it in Solibri and still run a check of all the elements that we are working. So this powerful connection allows you to control the model at various levels. This is a door example wherein the clearance of this door or opening can be checked very thoroughly here. So the exported, if something is lying just next to the door, it is not a constructability clearance, right? It has to be at a certain height, not clashing with any of the door members. So this live connection helps with the model control, the quality of the model. It saves time and money because these issues are being flagged at an early stage. It is not happening at the constructability stage. And the design errors are also detected at a very early stage when the model is in making, and the collaboration is way much faster because of the less file size of IFC. So ArchiCAD connection, Solibri connection makes it smooth, easy, and productive for a designer workflow. So if someone has to manage the issues with ArchiCAD and Solibri, all the model exchange, all the project exchange tracking, editing and highlighting the model, all that is going through this Solibri interface, which can very well integrate with the BIM cloud of ArchiCAD, BIMX tab, as well as all the global formats like BCF, IFC, PDF, and XLS also. So now let's deep dive into Solibri more. So what exactly is Solibri? It is a model checker, it is a model reviewer. The main product is Solibri Office, and it is used with numerous checks and logics for checking the 3D models, for building bylaws, for area considerations, for resolving issues at BIM coordination level, for construction handover models, or even at FM phasing, how the content is flowing through the models really helps the site teams. So we can also run some green checks onto Solibri. So let's see what all we can do with Solibri. Excuse me. So the whole workflow of Solibri is it is integrating and federating multiple IFC file formats coming from native applications. And then it has 60 plus logics which are inbuilt in the software with 200 plus rules which are being used for automated design checks, which will eventually give me quantities or information takeoffs, or I can slice dice the model to check my bylaws, check the green credits that we get, and it has a seamless integration with BIM 360, Trimble Connect, as well as it can fetch the IFC from 50 plus native BIM tools, and it has a seamless integration with common data environment also. So what rules or logics can Solibri help with? Let's see that list. It is a very exhaustive list of 200 plus rules, but let's see some examples here. So the basic one is a clash check or a general intersection rule wherein the elements are clashing with each other or intersecting with each other. It is just one of the rules in Solibri. However, the other rules are more critical and more important for design checking. For example, we'll see some property rule templates. So what exactly set of properties should be there in a given model. So these kind of elements have to come to the owners or the PMCs or the fellow consultants with certain set of properties for a given element or for a given discipline. Further, when we talk of component distances can be all the vertical clearances, horizontal clearances. This is an example of fire sprinklers at horizontal clearance. Then another example of the constructability area around a given construction object, something as small as a WC or as big as a AHU. It needs a constructability space clearance around it, which is the free area or the space validation for doing the construction in a certain manner and having the mobility to use that space effectively. So Solibri can do this with rule-based checking and role-based checking also. So it can be applied at various objects, various project stages. It can be done with certain set of properties for any given model. So we can also calculate all the areas, all the firefighting systems, all the area efficiencies, what is the free space area or construction area versus carpet area ratios. All these can be calculated very effectively using all these different rules. So this example that is popped out is we are checking if all the doors in red have certain level of fire rating. So all the doors in the red, for example, should have 4-hour fire rating, something like that. So these properties can be easily evaluated with the rules which are inbuilt in the system. And then we have certain roles for architectural segment, structural, MEP segment, certain set of rules which are classified already. So predefined templates can be used for certain typical project or certain project typologies which need classification. Say building projects can have classification for apartments, for areas, for site conditions. So these can be standard templates against roles. roles like for architects, for BIM managers, and so on. So it is poll time, Shiva. Let's take a minute to.
Yeah, I'll just quickly push through some polls.
Yeah.
Can everybody see the polls on the screen?
I think people are raising hands or adding something in the chat box.
Yeah,
Shiva, just
yeah,
check.
yeah. Yes. Let me just quickly launch a second poll.
Okay. You can also read out the response that people are giving for the first poll or consecutive polls.
Yeah, sure. So we have 30 responses for how familiar are you with Solibri?
Mm-hmm. That's good. A couple of more minutes, maybe we can have
Yeah,
the poll open and I can resume.
just one more poll. I'll just launch it.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. I think we can resume with the presentation. We have had 25 responses to the last poll.
Mm-hmm. All right, sounds good. So let me resume with the workflow of Solibri. So we talked about so many rules that are available inside Solibri, but how does it exactly work? So there is an algorithm which works as per a logic that is predefined into the software. So this is an example from our very own bylaws about accessibility, that for a given project, if there are specially abled people, the minimum opening of a door or for accessibility of a wheelchair should be 810 in case of a recess, 920 in case of a clear opening, ramp ratio of 1 is to 20, and circulation area should be 1100 as dia if there are any obstacles for or for free accessibility. So this particular logic is predefined into the software, and this is how Solibri flags the accessibility rules which are not met. For example, in these two images, you can see that the 1100 ratio is not met also for some movable objects as well as some structural components. It can flag the accessibility parameters that it is not met. Similarly, when it comes to our cramped parking spaces or the ramp ratios or the clear heights, we can always see the rule from Solibri here, wherein we are selecting the components, and the logic that is inbuilt already is about the slope, length, minimum and maximum clear widths. Are there any handrails in case of specially abled people? We can define all this. We run the check with severity parameters here. We can select what all information we want from the ratio of the RAM. Say we've selected the 10% here. And once we run this model for checking, the analysis is flagged with certain red, orange, and yellow severity parameters. And if we click on any of the results that it is showing for certain RAMs, you can see how it is flagging with certain images and the dimensions or where it is not as per the rule. So we gave a rule for 10% of the RAM, whereas the slope that here it is seen is 12% without a handrail. So these kind of design flags are received by the design team at a very early stage of the project. Even something as small as a door swing. Typically, door swing areas have to be without any clearance or without any clash. It could be your fire doors, toilet doors. So the dotted circle that you see on the left hand side, it is the clear space that has to be there when a door swing opens. So today, take any 3D model, the door leaf is always in 3D, but the swing which is shown on drawing, it is still a 2D component. So Solibri can still understand this swing and it can flag the clearance for this particular door element, or it can flag the clearance within this swing. So we click on the parameter windows again of the same logic here, and if you see here, the component distance rule is having a small intelligent tick here which is saying use door swing in distance calculation. So I am selecting some plumbing elements here. I am giving the minimum distance in which the clearance dia has to come in. It is a horizontal check that we are doing for the swing, and let's run a check and see the results for ourselves as to how it is flagging the results. So when we click on one of the results, it is saying the components are having some uh, plumbing components within that swing area. So it will flag it appropriately. Similarly, we can then have the compartmentation of fire as well. So if certain objects like walls, doors, windows, openings, they have to have fire rating, the first property check rule can also check this if these properties are available in the model. If they are available, then we can further classify them into three categories as we see on screen. Like there are some walls which have to be 1.5 hour rated, there are some with 30 minutes rating, and the gray ones are actually not tagged with any fire rating, or those are curtain walls, or either it is some other material which may not have the fire rating. So this is the color coded model classification, which again quickly can come from Solibri with one rule. Further, we can also check the building envelope check, which are critical for the green rating. So when we have the building envelope check here, the rule can check the necessary depths that are prescribed, certain widths as per the recessions that are coming in the buildings, and the opening lengths and widths for a given building envelope rules. So all these can be checked with one logic inside Solibri. Even the IGBC ratings for green cover, like if there is a 15% green cover, the point we get is 1. If the green cover is as high as 30% to building structure, we can check that also in Solibri. So this is the rule wherein I can add the percentage and check the model if I can comply for this kind of a IGBC credit. If I have a list of certain elements which I want to check, it is a classification list in Excel file, or what we call it information delivery sheet. So if we have the information delivery sheet properly mapped in a BEP, we can also check it to a object level, something as complicated as a retail or a furniture system. in the model also. So here the example says that there are certain specifications mapped properly for those furniture types, that Excel is linked to my information takeoff and the object, and Solibri is checking if those specifications are available inside the model or not. So we can go very deep into the parameters and attributes of the model and really extract information right from which is the native file format, what object types, what tags, what keynotes, what identification data can be pulled out, and the model can be sliced diced to an extent wherein we can extract the information takeoffs, the quantities, and really use the model for all other purposes on site except for design coordination. What exactly is information takeoff in Solibri and how it works? So information takeoff is, once I slice dice the model, I can have very flexible templates inside Solibri to extract the information. Now this information will allow us to simultaneously view and analyze the model in 3D, as well as check the quantities, as well as check the properties from a design perspective, from area calculation, from certain analysis, if there are certain fire calculations to be checked, something as basic as if a fire route is given or not, if the tags are proper or not, we can very much check this in a model, so we can avoid certain constructability issues when they actually happen on site. This will allow the designers to check this and eliminate waste with accurate quantities, weights, and material lists throughout the project. So this will improve the site logistics, site coordination, by understanding and seeing it in 3D before this all havoc happens on site. So ITO classifications can help me analyze all the areas, all the efficiencies that are expected, and we can still extract a lot of information from the 3D models apart from checking them for quality purpose or geometry checking or area consideration checkings and so on. So information takeoffs are not limited to only extracting quantities or efficiency ratios, but we can also extract information from the object properties. So we just saw an example of fire rating given for certain walls from 1.5 hours to 30 minutes to some objects which were left out. And we only want area, or we only want to add cost to those components only. So the information takeoff can come on the fly for those objects which are classified under fire rating components. And we can have a color coding, we can add a cost column to it, and still a proper report can be extracted from Solibri. So this is an example of area efficiency, where typically construction area to carpet area ratios are defined by owners with respect to the location, bylaws, and multiple factors. So this logic is also inbuilt in Solibri. So for example, if you want a 80 to 85% of efficiency, the one which is seen as net area ratio. So for this particular model, say we flagged it that this is 77%. So when these things are flagged with a software report, there is no manual intervention, and these are available with the designers at a very early stage of the project, so that they can take more informed decisions on the area usage, area efficiencies, and so on. And this is not limited to the construction areas or the carpet areas. You can also run this check for parking efficiency. So for example, you want to run a parking efficiency for a given basement or podium floor. Say it has, for a given area, the parking count has to be 30. So I can define that object area component versus how many count of car park, and I can run a check whether it is having that efficiency of car parks or no, especially in tier 1 cities like Delhi, NCR, Mumbai, and so on, wherein parking issue is such a major check for a design team. We can also check out all the construction takeoffs. We can do the color codings. We can slice dice them into the different spaces for different floors, different luxury segments that you expect. You can also have a consolidated view for all information takeoff as per different type of apartments, carpet areas, or construction areas. These all can be segregated the way information template is required. Then our very own clash detection matrix is not new, but this is still one of the rules of all 200 rules that Solibri has. One of that check is clash check matrix. So the same matrix with all the typical tolerances, all the requirements of duplicate elements, element inside an element, all that can be checked very correctly. So this is exactly how the template looks like, set of components 1 versus 2. So we can bifurcate them as per different discipline, different floors, different tolerances. Tolerances is also not limited to for one link or for one file, but we can give tolerances for all horizontal elements separately, like sprinklers, all vertical elements separately, like beams or certain shaft elements, risers, all that can have a separate tolerance. And there can be a altogether different volume tolerance, wherein we can define volume tolerance for something as small as a valve. So if a mechanical valve has to be fitted in a very crunched MEP space, say the volume tolerance could be 300. So anything coming in that 300 volume can be flagged very critically in Solibri. And typically, contractors tell us that core cuts is not a clash that they want to consider or want to see in a model. So we can have some exceptions before running a clash check in Solibri. So whatever comes under core cut, like the light being a niche in ceiling, or certain pipes going through architectural walls or non-structural walls, these all can be exceptions so that they don't fall into the long list of clash report already. And we can bifurcate our tolerances with respect to the finishes or the layers of different finishes, what all tolerance can be rejected. You can really flag all this to a detail level in Solibri. So to give you a comparative analysis between all the clash management tools that are available like ACC or Navis, this is the clear comparison of what all you can have. You can have a interception exception wherein examples like core cuts or recessed lights, all this can be avoided. There is a rule, sub rule mechanism also in Solibri. So when we are running these rules for clashes, we can have different filter baskets for different components or different floors. So basically, certain clashes which are on hold or which are in progress of a model update, you can put it in certain baskets, and there can be a sub rule for the pending clashes or pending design issues, and it will still run the automated checks and give you the reports in that manner. It can also run version comparison as to how many elements were added, deleted, and then run a sub rule for clash check. So this kind of filtering and selection of slicing a model is very much flexible with Solibri. Further, when all these issues are flagged, all these images are flagged, all the element IDs are mapped, definitely Solibri can give a PDF, Excel report, a proper presentation which can be extracted, and then the traditional design workshop happens to resolve a issue. That can very much happen with Solibri, or there is a something beyond traditional design workshop, that is BCF issue management. So many of you must have already invested in global file formats like BIM Collab, BIM Track, which gives BCF as a common file format for issue management. So what happens is all these issues from Solibri directly go on to the native file model like ArchiCAD or Revit, and someone who's working on that model, he or she exactly sees them onto the model at that exact location and object. So there is no need of tracking it manually, resolve it, and someone else would take efforts to issue it and resolve it. So BCF can track it for you. It can keep a record of which version, how many issues, when did they came in, and so on. So it's a live collaboration for all the issues which are being flagged. And the traditional option is always there of extracting reports for decision makers, that is PDF, Excel templates, and so on. Let's see how this BCF works. So this is a Solibri to Dolux issue management tool. So all these issues are mapped Design issues are mapped here. We have a live connector. We on it. We link it to the Dolux or BIM Collab or BIM Track server. And then we try to filter what all elements we have to consider, like what all type of issues. We try to sync it. And once we sync it, we get the long list of all the issues. So with this, we can have all the issues sorted. And once we go back to the communication tab, we can select the necessary images. We can go back to the connector and say import these issues. So the selected are close to 22 issues. We say okay. So once the issues are imported, the green ticks would change to a different icon because those are shared through a cloud to the. So you will see below the icon has changed from a tick to a black circle. So these issues will now go to Dolux issue management platform, and we'll see how those are extracted with the same image, same element ID. So we are just passing these issues onto a issue management platform. We are not extracting PDFs or different Excel files to see this report. So someone working on a sprinkler system will actually see it in Dolux live through this BCF connector. So that is how BCF works with issue management live with all the authoring tools, not just Dolux, but it will work with BIM Track, BIM Collab. It will also work with Econex, ACC, and it will work bi-directional for ArchiCAD, Vectorworks, Allplan, as well as Revit. So Solibri and Graphisoft ArchiCAD still remains the centerpiece of this automation. So if these BIM tools are there, running these checks also becomes automatic because Microsoft Power Automate is there already in a lot of systems. So basically only an investment in Solibri Office and ArchiCAD will automate the whole checking exercise for design issues, for area considerations, efficiency ratios, as well as certain bylaws which can be checked very handy in Solibri. So basically extracting IFCs, extracting BCF formats and running them, all this process can be automated with Microsoft Power Automate. So someone will only open the model and have the issues seen without even extracting IFCs with Solibri. So a poll time again, Shiva.
I guess you can see the poll on your screen. The polls are live, and you can always even submit your polls for the old ones from the chat. Mancha, I guess we are done with the polls. You can
Okay, we
continue.
are at the last segment of the webinar. So These are the contact QR codes, and I'll now open the forum for question answers, if any, to the beautiful audience. I'll keep this for a minute or so, and then we can, Shiva, you can unmute the mics, or we can go through the chat for any questions.
Sure. If you have any queries, you can post it on the chat or the Q&A section, or you can raise your hands and I can mute your mics.
Yeah, the forum is open now for queries, if any. Someone says they can't unmute, Shiva. Can you check,
Yeah, yeah,
please?
yes. So I have allowed permission for the mic, so you can unmute and you can ask your questions. Mr. Amir, I guess you can unmute your mic now and you can ask your question.
So we can have the forum open for 5-7 minutes more if there are any queries, or we can call it a day.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
uh, Good evening. This is Mukesh. Actually, I'm from Godrej. I missed the session in joining. So, are you going to share the recording with the participants? How it is going
Yes.
to be?
Yes, we can share.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Sandeep. I wanted to know that you have shown in the beginning the connection between Solibri, Revit, and ArchiCAD. So,
Yeah.
how was it like? It is working with three together, or Solibris were helping get the Revit model into ArchiCAD, or ArchiCAD into Revit, or ArchiCAD and Revit into Solibri?
So honestly, all three options are possible, and we tried to show it through ArchiCAD because there is a add-on available in Autodesk as well as in Graphisoft for exchanging the libraries. So I can bring in the Revit libraries into ArchiCAD. I can, and there is a Solibri add-on inside Revit as well as in ArchiCAD. So the integration is really seamless. I mean, if you want to send a Revit model to Solibri, you can do that through that plugin. If you want to have the Revit model inside ArchiCAD, because ArchiCAD Solibri being from same Nemcheck group, the integration is on one click. Like we don't have to save separate files also. It just directly opens into the Solibri format. So either ways, Solibri can talk to ArchiCAD as well as to Revit, and Revit to ArchiCAD integration is also working for the
Okay.
families as well as for Revit files.
Okay, so the family with all the parametric information will be able to add into ArchiCAD, and we can change the parameter
Yes.
values and modify the geometry.
Yes. So basically, because all consultants can work on different authoring tools, but Solibri can integrate and give you a federated model for reviews, for information takeoffs, and design checks.
Okay, so Solibri is no longer only a coordination tool. It also helps us integrate between different software platforms like Revit and
Yes.
ArchiCAD.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And lastly, we also saw some quantification also. So
Yes.
uh, how much it was, like if I have my DSR codes, can I add
Huh?
on the DSR codes, and I can, let's say my 001 is DSR code for concrete. So can
Huh?
I get all these concrete quantities in one column and quantify those, like 50 meter cube or 60 meter cube of concrete for M20, M40 concrete likewise, or let's say D1 type of doors, all doors will be listed from entire project onto that particular item?
I can do this. So so the first example of concrete, this DSR information has to be mapped in my model first. So whether it is M20, what cubic meter is to be mapped in my model, and then that takeoff happens in Solibri with a
Yeah,
proper
so the
color
meter
coding or
cube, yeah,
selection.
meter
Yes,
cube or volume will be taken from the geometry. But the code,
correct.
let's say I'm adding 001. So if I map that 001 as M to M30 concrete, so it will
Yes, that
total it out in
mapping.
that.
Partially, yes, because that mapping of that code in keynotes or material master happens in a 3D model. There is
Correct.
no
Yeah, yeah.
direct code linking in Solibri yet.
That is fine. So we have to add some information onto the 3D geometry in
Correct,
BIM
correct.
model.
Yes. Then
Then
we
it is
can do it.
possible.
Yes, yes. Perfect.
Okay. And can we add or import some item description specification like this M30 concrete? So I have some specifications. So can I get
Hmm.
that specification added into Solibri so that this item, let's say providing placing RMC concrete of 30, M30 grade and so, providing and
Hmm.
curing and all those things, and item quantity DSR code 001 and the quantity is XX meter cube. Is that possible?
I can add the color coding for that quantity filter, but whether it is M30 or M45, that will be defined in my model again.
Yeah,
So
correct.
there is
But
no,
this, can
so
it
if it
gather
is
it and put it
captured,
into that particular column?
yes, yes. Once it is captured in the model, I can classify it into multiple filter sections, filter baskets, and still extract a takeoff. That is doable.
Okay, so now we have one problem, like, there are so many models, and
Hmm.
we have to federate the model and do this class detection, and now, as you say, rule-based checking. So
Hmm.
somebody has to sit and do it every week. Is there any
Okay.
possibility that I can automate this? That Solibri, please turn on and at 12 a.m. in the night on Sunday night, it will get all the models put together,
Uh,
generate the report, and send email to all concerned parties.
So if you saw the automate slide, if you have the model in ArchiCAD, if you have Microsoft Power Automate, I can define this flow with Power Automate that please extract IFCs, run it in Solibri Office with certain predefined rules, and the BCF are also extracted and it is saved back into the common data environment. So this automation happens with ArchiCAD and Solibri as a combination with Microsoft Power Automate, not with Revit or Allplan yet. But with ArchiCAD Solibri, the answer is yes, you can do it.
With Revit?
Not yet.
Okay. Fine, good. So now if we have to buy this Solibri,
Hmm.
what are your plans? Is it part of any, like Autodesk has any AEC suite or
Well, yeah, there
infrastructure
are
suite?
certainly there are a lot of suits that are available for Solibri to plugged with. I can have Shoaib. answer this for you. So Sandeep wants to know about the buying opportunities for Solibri with like a AEC bundle or a infra bundle.
Hi, Sandeep.
I
Yeah, you can definitely buy Solibri as many as you want. Just give me a call. But
okay.
yeah, jokes apart, Sandeep. Yeah, rest of you might not understand. Sandeep and I are friends from previous companies. But yeah, Sandeep, so we can club it with either ArchiCAD or Vectorworks or any other authoring tool of Nemetschek, and you can buy Solibri.
Okay, so you can bundle it with those products.
Correct. Any of our authoring tools. So
Okay,
it could be ArchiCAD or Vectorworks or Allplan or even
so
SDS2.
authoring tool is necessary to buy.
It depends on the quantity. If you tell me that Panger wants to buy 50 Solibri licenses, we'll make a deal for you.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Good, great. Thank you.
All right, Sandeep. Thanks.
That was good. Any more queries?
Yeah, actually, I have a query.
Yes, Amir.
Yeah, the thing is like, do you have anything in Solibri for getting the output of model health report or a model health score in the end?
Health score.
Yeah.
No, not yet. But I can have a list of rules
Mm-hmm.
packaged as a role-based checking, and I can
Okay.
name it as a health model health report.
Okay, so like what we used to do is now we are using Revit, and then we once things are over due to, I mean, before submissions we use
Hmm.
class detections, using
Hmm.
we do class detection using Navisworks, and then once
Hmm.
things are okay,
Hmm.
and we run a check in Power BI. So
Hmm.
this gives us the model score and tells us where we need to do the class detection and where we need to do rigorously. So once the model score is good, so we know that it's not the model's healthy, and we can go for other deliverables, BIM deliverables. So this is
So
how.
we can have a workaround in Solibri that I can also run a class check here, and I can put it in different selection baskets, and I can have a list of what all goes in my health score. I link that list with my model and report, and it will keep giving me that score. So basically an Excel template which is acting like that report format. I mean, it's a workaround, but once I set up that template, it will do
Mhm.
the same job for you.
Okay, noted.